Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Welcome to the Personal Branding Podcast with me, Olive Gachara, and today we are talking about you and what you can do to develop you. We shall touch on the key elements of developing a strong personal brand, or as I like to call them, the ABCs, as well as the 5 Ps of personal branding. If this is the first time you're listening to the Personal Branding Podcast, then this is a great place to start because this episode pretty much summarizes everything we've been talking about through this series as we go towards the conclusion of season 1. Don't worry, we shall be back with season 2 very, very soon. We shall start with the key elements of personal branding, or as I like to call them, the ABCs of personal branding. A stands for appearance, B stands for behavior, and C stands for communication. The ABCs of personal branding are an external manifestation of your internal persona. They are what you want people to see as your personal brand. I like to think that life is not just about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself. And there's no better way to create yourself than by being in control of your appearance, how you look, your behavior, how you carry yourself, and your communication, i.e. your communication skills and who you communicate to. We touched on appearance at length in the episode on why image matters, but as a quick reminder, it is important to note that as much as we'd like to think or hope that people will not judge a book by the cover, we do live in a superficial world where people will actually judge a book by the cover. They will see us, and based on how we're dressed, they will determine how they want to behave and interact with us. So how you dress speaks to how other people perceive you. And I'm sure you remember that it takes 3 seconds to make a first impression. And if you make a bad first impression, you require 21 more opportunities to alter the perception of a bad first impression. And you don't often have that many other chances. In fact, your first impression is determined not just by your appearance, but also by your behavior and your communication style. But we're touching on that in a few minutes. In as much as people say it's not really about how you dress, it's about what's on the inside that matters, give that same person a makeover and you see that suddenly they're carrying themselves with more confidence, they're standing taller. It's always, I like to say, dress every day like you're going to meet your ex-boyfriend, right, or girlfriend. There's a certain way you want to make sure that they see you. And when it comes to professional space, if you're not sure about what look to have on any given day, the rule of thumb is to always dress for the most important meeting of the day. Now, what I would not like is for your appearance or your grooming to be a hindrance to you achieving the kind of success that you know that you deserve. And after appearance, once you've dressed the part, it's important that you carry yourself some kind of way, right? Your behavior is determined by your body language, and we talked about this at length in a previous episode. So please do go back and unpack what the 5 elements that speak to your body language are. If you think about it, you can spend 5,000 shillings on a suit, but the way you're carrying yourself with confidence, your head is held high, you're really working that suit. You can walk into any room and command that room, command that meeting, and get whatever it is that you want. In the same breath, somebody else can go and spend 500,000 shillings on a suit, but if they don't have the confidence to carry themselves like that guy or that lady that is in a 500,000 shilling suit, then it doesn't really matter. That all goes to waste. So how you dress is one thing, but how you carry yourself, the confidence that you're able to portray through your body language is a great indicator or a great block builder to a strong and credible personal brand. Then we have your communication, and your communication is how you say what you say, and content also plays a big role. Your communication styles also brings out the skills and abilities that you have. If you're confident about your skills and talents, and you find that you communicate with that much more confidence. If you're not confident about what you're talking about, if you're not confident about the subject matter, then you'll find that even as you're communicating, as you're doing that presentation, as you're giving that speech, as you're pitching to that client, your confidence levels will be a bit wanting and people can be able to read through it. In fact, one of the things that we focus on when you're doing communication skills training is content, because it's important that you have a mastery of your content, a mastery of whatever it is that you're trying to communicate before you can try and work on anything else. Because if you don't have the content, that means if you're not aware, if you don't know what you're talking about, then no one can train you to pretend or to look like you know what you're talking about. Well, actually, maybe you can if I think about it, but technically, for you to have strong and credible delivery, you have to have a mastery of content. And to have a mastery of content, you have to have a mastery of your skills. And that takes us from the ABCs to the 5 Ps of personal branding. When you do your research on personal branding, there's very many approaches people have had. There's the 4 Cs, the 5 Ps, the 8 Ps, the 8 elements. There's very many numbers and letters, right? But what has stuck with me is the 5 Ps of personal branding. And the 5 Ps of personal branding cover your power, your passion, your purpose, your people, and your platform. Now, as much as personal branding is all about packaging what is on the inside, remember, it is a manifestation of what comes from inside. And you cannot fake your way to success, right? You cannot fake it till you make it. I mean, you can fake it till you become it, but you can't really fake it till you make it. In fact, if I am to unpack the fake it till you become it statement, a simple way to look at it is your journey to success. In order to become a successful individual, there's certain characters and habits that you have to be able to instill in your daily life, right? So, wake up early, exercise so that your brain is clear, you don't have brain fog, don't drink or drink very little alcohol, hydrate, eat well, do all these fantastic things that you need to do to focus. So there's just some daily habits that you need to put into your life so that you can be able to achieve that success. And what you find is that by the time you're achieving that success that you wanted, you have created so many new interesting habits that you have automatically become a successful person. And it's not something that you can unlearn. You have become a completely different person in the pursuit of achieving that thing that you want to achieve. This is probably why when people win the lottery or get money through gambling, they don't have the discipline to sustain themselves financially. But then when people sit and grind and work hard to make that money, they have the discipline because of the character that they've had to instill in themselves to be able to create that money in the first place. Your power is the true essence of who you are. Your power is the authentic you. Your power is the person that is the core formation of that 3-legged stool that I always talk about. And if you don't know what the 3-legged stool is, the 3-legged stool in the personal branding process represents your professional life, your personal life, and your spiritual life, whatever that looks like. Remember, it is important that all the 3 are balanced so that you can be able to be a well-balanced individual. So your personal power is the thing that is pretty much at the seat of your soul, the thing that makes you wake up every morning, the thing that gives you drive, the thing that speaks to your passion. Your personal power is what people will get to know you for. And after power, we have passions. Passions are the things that set our soul on fire. Passions are the things that we love to do, and we could do them forever, and we could do them for free. Passion is just what makes you feel whole. And your purpose, it is said, is when you're able to actually earn a living from your passion, right? It's what people like to call ikigai. There's that thing that you love to do. There's a thing that you make money from. There's the thing that sort of brings your community together. When everything just falls together into one small ball that just makes sense, that small ball is called purpose. And a lot of us spend our lives in pursuit of that one thing that we call purpose. We may have found it, we may have not. And sometimes whether you found it or not, it doesn't mean that you stop going. Along the journey of life, you will always find a different reason for being. And what your purpose is when you're in your 20s could be completely different to what your purpose will be when you're in your 40s. We talked about the 4 stages of life. And as you're going through the different stages of life, you'll find that your purpose in those different stages are different at any given time. Or they're just amplified in different ways. For example, if your purpose is to help people become the best versions of themselves, then as you're going through the different stages in life, that will manifest in different ways. So when you're in the athlete phase, which is very ego-driven, making people become the best versions of themselves will look very different compared to when you're in the warrior phase or when you're in the statement phase, and even more different or even more so when you're in the spirit phase, which is all about giving back and really realizing your own truth. And once you have discovered your purpose, or once you have been able to make your purpose manifest into your everyday life, then comes people. Your people are the people that you need to be visible to. This is your audience. They could be The audience in the World Wide Web, especially if you have a public brand, they could be your colleagues, your clients, people that you interact with on a day-to-day basis, people within your community in church, people within the club where you go to play golf, wherever it is that you engage with people on a personal and professional level. Those are the people that you need to ensure that your strong and authentic personal brand is visible to at any given moment. And once you have discovered who these people are, that will then speak to the platforms that you will use to communicate to these people. If, for example, your target audience or the people they need to be visible to are people within 50 and 65 years old, then maybe social media is not where you should be spending most of your time. Maybe you should be spending time where people of that age bracket or of that demographic tend to hang out. So in essence, personal branding is really not just about being as visible to everyone as much as possible, which is, I think, a very big misconception a lot of people have. A lot of people think, Olive, I don't have the time to be posting on social media every day. Olive, how do you do this thing that you do? See, my target audience is different from yours. Not everybody needs to be visible to everyone every single day. In fact, some people can live a very full and fulfilling life without being on social media platforms at all. Your people, or the people who you need to be visible to, are your customers, which in this case are the employees within your organization, right? So it's important that we are very intentional about using platforms that work for our audiences. Because remember, you're only one person and there's only so many hours in a day. So it's important that you're intentional about where you spend your time and who you spend your time interacting with. In fact, one of the books that had a really big impact on my life is a book called Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less. It pretty much teaches you to say no before you say yes, because what a lot of us have done is that we say yes to everything and everyone because we don't want to disappoint anyone and we innately want to be liked by everybody, right? This is even why we're all here watching this personal branding podcast, because we're like, what can I do to make myself more likable, etc. So essentialism recognizes that you're only one person and you only have finite energy, and when your energy is dispersed in too many directions, then you're not able to do anything properly. However, if you focus on less things, then the things that you focus on will get all of your attention and you're able to deliver them to a higher level of excellence. This does not mean that when people reach out to you to hang out with them on various social or work functions, you say no because you're being essential in how you spend your time. Olive said, I would prefer to say no first because deep down I'm actually an introvert and I literally have finite energy. And instead be very intentional about the few spaces that I spend my time in, so that there are spaces where I can be able to not only get the most value but give the most value. Remember, your brand is the single most investment you can make, not only in your career but in your personal life. Personal branding is not just about progressing your career but also having a wholesome and qualitative life. So the 5 P's of personal branding that you always have to keep in mind as you're trying to develop your personal brand is your personal power, your passions, your purpose, the people around you, and the platforms that you will use to get your brand out. Lastly, you are what you repeatedly do. Excellence is therefore not an act, but a habit. As you go out to develop a strong personal brand, make sure you build a good one. Make sure you build a brand that you're excited about. Make sure you build a brand that opens up your wings and lets you fly and soar, as opposed to one that makes you feel smaller. If you think this is content that will be of value to your friends and your colleagues, remember to share, like, subscribe, comment, and let me know your thoughts, and I will definitely engage with you. Thank you very much for listening to the Personal Branding Podcast with me, Olive Gachara.